Hey guys, my name is Tayo. I'm co-founder and CEO of Max. This is our era. Do not retire, but refire to acquire your required desire.
Oh snap! You just flipped it on me. I didn't know you was a songwriter, bro. You didn't tell me you were a songwriter. We could have had a different interview. This is my era podcast. We spark the minds that set the trends that change the world as we know. And it starts right now. So let's go. This is my era. Hosted by Kuda Biza and yours truly, Mr. Alexander Starr. This is my era. Represents everybody who knows they want a better world and does something about it. This is our era. What about you? Good day, bright world. This is Alexander Starr, and you are listening to This Is My Era, the podcast. Now, before we get started, I want to thank you for being here first and foremost, but I also want to ask you for a favor. Please go on iTunes and leave a review under our podcast. Tell us how we've helped you or how we made you feel. That is our form of payment for putting together these podcasts and putting the time and energy to bring this content to you. So thank you so much in advance. iTunes, reviews. That is the end of this public service announcement. So now let's get into it. Today's guest is using technology to enhance daily transportation in Africa. The mission, make motorcycle taxis safe and accessible to 1 billion Africans. That's right, billion with a B. He's one of the brilliant minds, the CEO and co-founder behind Max.ng, which is an innovative motorcycle ride-sharing platform that's so much more than meets the eye. Adetayo Bamiduro, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks, Alex. Excited to be here.
Dude, what you're doing is super exciting. And just for our listeners, I want y'all to know that Kuda and I met Teo in New York a couple months back at the United Nations Forbes Africa event. And a lot of people wonder how we get such influential people on our show. Like, we met him, we learned what he's doing, we told him what we're doing, and we asked him to join us. It's that simple. Just be brave enough to have conversations and ask people to join you. And it happens, man. So again, thank you for being here with us. Now, Max.ng, your company is building an infrastructure that you've seen and identified a huge gap in Africa. Can you please describe Max.ng?
Sure, happy to do that. So what we're doing at Max really is we're making transportation safe, affordable, and accessible for 1 billion Africans. And our focus is on two-wheel transportation, which are locally known as Okadas in West Africa or Boda Bodas in East Africa. So those are that is motorcycle-based transportation where you've got a driver moving people around town and around the city.
Okay. Okadas, that's the name for motorcycle taxis.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I got experience with that, man, when I was in Rwanda this summer. Oh man, that was the way to travel. Is on a moto.
Moto taxi.
And if I could say so myself, is way cooler than riding in a 4-wheel taxi, because you got the breeze on. You're riding on a motorcycle in general, man. Like, I think, at least for me, I don't have one. So when I go to a beautiful place like Rwanda and I'm on the back of a motorcycle and we're riding through the mountains and stuff, man, it's transportation, but it's an experience too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely is an experience. Unfortunately, I mean, it does come with some risks. So if the driver isn't properly trained, that could be quite a dangerous experience for you, right? So what we're doing at Max is making sure that experience remains safe for everyone.
Okay, yeah, and you've noticed like a lot of gaps in the infrastructure of motorcycles and moto taxis in Nigeria and in Africa. So, I mean, first of all, can you describe why moto taxis are advantageous over regular taxis?
Sure. Happy to dive into that. So if you think about African cities, they're not as developed as cities in the United States or in Western Europe today. So that means a lot of roads are not paved. It's not very easy to move around. You don't have the metro. You don't have an elaborate urban transportation system in most African cities. So that leaves you with a couple of options. Either you get around in minibuses or you get around in vehicles, four-wheel vehicles like cars and trucks, or you get around in a motorcycle. Now, because the infrastructure really isn't there, four-wheel vehicles get stuck in traffic. And there are many unpaved roads as well that four-wheel vehicles just can't take, right? So if you're going to be able to move around very quickly and very efficiently in urban Africa, you're going to have to need to get around on a motorcycle taxi.
So, all right, as an entrepreneur, you found weaknesses in the system. So I'm going to go through some of these weaknesses because I went through your deck, which is extremely powerful. Like, I love what you're doing, and obviously that's why you're here. So in your deck, I read a slide that describes how the barriers for others have become your advantage, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to go through these barriers that you have listed, and I want you to kind of dive in on the logic behind each one. Okay? So
Okay, that's good.
the first one, it says the licensing system for motorcycles is weak, so Max.ng created one. Go.
Fantastic. So one of the big problems in our market, started with Nigeria, is the fact that the licensing system that the government put in place is sort of corrupt, right? So you can't trust that system. So anyone could really just go in there and buy a license, and they don't know the first thing about how to drive or how to ride the motorcycle properly.
Wow. You
So
could
what
just
that
go in
means
and
is
buy one without having to go through the checks and balances?
that's correct, unfortunately, but that's the reality.
Okay.
And what that means is you've got a lot of dangerous drivers who don't know the first thing about how to ride properly, who don't understand traffic rules, who don't understand safety, who are moving people around, and they're getting involved in accidents every single day. And that's one of the reasons why we have one person dying from a motorcycle taxi accident every 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
West Africa. It's crazy, right? So what we did was we built an app that we created a mobile-based psychometric testing platform that allows us to figure out who a good driver is. It's a very simple test that you take as an intending driver on the Max platform. So you download the app, you take the test, you drive around for a little bit, we take data off of your driving habits, and then we compute all that, and then we figure out and create a safety score for you. So if you meet the threshold, then you join Max. If you don't meet the threshold, then you have to go at it again.
Wow. That's awesome. So you saw the weakness in the system, that it's a lot of unsafe drivers to get licenses. So in order to drive for your company, you created your own barrier to entry. You have to go through this process and pass these regulations and get a certification to work for our company.
Absolutely. So we like to joke that it's harder to get to become a Max driver than to get into Harvard. We have a less than 10% success rate.
Wow, dude. But yet you still have, like, you're experiencing incredible growth. Like, lots of people want to join you, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because our platform is trusted, it's very safe. So people just love it, right? People just love to use our app to move around town. And what that means is we've got so much demand. So any driver who successfully scales our process and gets onto our platform, they make at least 2 to 3 times more money than the informal drivers.
Boom, boom, boom. I hope y'all are listening. If y'all are in Lagos, you go make some money right now. All y'all do is pass the test.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Okay, so let's dive into the next one. Drivers have no access to credit, so you built a network of financiers. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah, that's a big problem. So one of the biggest challenges in Africa in general is access to finance, especially for the unbanked population, right? Mm-hmm. So this means if you want to work, right, and you need some money up front to buy an equipment or to buy a vehicle or a motorcycle, no bank is going to lend you money because they don't know who you are, they don't have data on you and all that stuff. So what we've done at Max is by creating this network and building a platform that allows us to do KYC, that is know your customer, background checks, we're able to use all that data to create a credit score or a safety score for a driver. And then on that basis, a bank is willing to lend to a driver who has been vetted by Max. So think about it this way. You currently are an informal driver. You're probably renting a motorcycle taxi. You're making some money, but most of that money is going to some mafia guy somewhere who's leasing that motorcycle taxi to you. And if you're on that path, there's no way you're ever going to own your own motorcycle taxi. And the banks are never going to lend to you. So what happens is you go to the Max platform, you apply, you get through that process. The next thing is Max then says, okay, because you're a good driver, we've tested you, you are fit, you're safe. Here's a motorcycle taxi for you. Within a 12-month period, you'll own this motorcycle taxi. Very simple.
So yeah, you're providing a platform for ownership for these people as opposed to keeping them as non-owners, as just borrowers.
Exactly.
Wow, that's brilliant. So I have a question, and I'm gonna tangent a little bit because I'm thinking of how, like, let's say, not to compare you to them, but like Uber and Lyft in the US, when it's such an innovative thing that when it came here, the taxi systems in place gave tremendous pushback, right? Because you're upsetting their business. So are you getting pushback from any established businesses there, or entities or organizations, or is this just so fragmented that you're just like the pioneer?
So the latter is the fact. The market is so fragmented. But in addition to that, we're not just a disruptive company. We are actually empowering drivers in the informal sector as well. So what they see Max as doing is we're not just, we haven't just built a nice, beautiful app that connects drivers to customers. We're solving some of the deep fundamental problems in the market, such as access to finance and also including safety as well. So we're not getting any pushback from drivers. In fact, drivers love the platform because now they get access to finance, they get to own their motorcycle taxi, they get to become professionals. The motorcycle taxis are branded, they wear safety helmets. So the drivers are very excited about this. The people who are not so happy are the folks who've kept these drivers in perpetual debt, who've kept them subjected for so many years. Those are the folks who are not happy. But there's very little they can do because for us, our philosophy is as long as we add value to those who really matter, and in this case, the people who really matter are the hardworking drivers who are just trying to make a buck, trying to survive. As long as we're serving the interests of those people, they love us, they believe in us, then there's no one, who can stop that from scaling.
That's brilliant. That's what it's all about, man. If you want to be successful, simply figure out how to provide value to other people. And that's exactly what
Absolutely.
you're doing. But beyond the making money, you're empowering their lives.
Exactly.
That's awesome, man. So, all right, another issue that you've seen and addressed is that theft is commonplace. So you built a tracking platform to secure bikes. How did you go about that?
Oh, yeah. So that's a critical part of our business model as well. One of the reasons why the banks are happy to lend to drivers is because they know that Max has built this platform that tracks all the motorcycle taxis in real time until ownership completely transfers to the driver. So what we've done is pretty simple. Every single motorcycle that's financed on our platform is tracked using, using sensors, right? And those sensors are concealed. So they're very small, they're very tiny, and essentially, no matter where the driver goes, we know exactly where they are. And that helps us to just make sure that we keep the assets and the motorcycles safe.
That's awesome, man. So the technology behind that, right? It seems like you're making such big tasks seem so easy to accomplish. Share with us like the mentality that you have when you approach something like that.
Sure. So it's absolutely not rocket science. It's a lot of work, but it's not rocket science. But the way we think, at Max is we think about solving problems from a systems perspective, because if you've got a system that has 5 or 6 components, if one component fails, the entire system fails, right? And that's really been the story of many countries in Africa where you've got countries, who've made progress in 1 or 2 or 3 areas, and then in one other area they completely fail, and that impacts on everything else. And what we realized is if we're going to build a successful mobility platform, we're going to have to fix every important aspect of the value chain. So from screening drivers to securing motorcycle taxis to building the app that connects them to customers in real time to also providing security for financiers so that they can be at rest, knowing that if they've invested in an asset, if anything goes back, Max is in a position to help them recover that asset. What we did simply was just to take a systems view of the entire platform and say, how can we fix transportation and make sure that everyone who's involved, every single stakeholder gets to benefit? And that's really what has led us to build this platform. Because for us, if we're trying to copy some Uber model or some Lyft model and just try to transplant that into Africa, it's not going to work because the problems in Africa are very different. The challenges are very different. The people are also very different. So it takes taking a holistic perspective of the market and of the challenges and then coming up with a comprehensive solution that addresses all those challenges. That's how to fix problems in emerging markets and in frontier economies like Nigeria.
That's beautiful, man. Very, very high level thinking and then application. And what I see and what I realize is that y'all really, really put people at the heart of this. And as I said before, bringing value to people. So that ties directly in with the next bullet point is that the culture of taxis and Okadas is informal. So you built relationships and continue to build relationships with communities across Lagos. Tell us how that approach happens.
Sure, absolutely. The interesting thing about technology is it can be a huge force for positive change, but at the same time, as we've seen, with some of the issues that came up with Facebook a couple months ago, technology can also be used by bad people to do a lot of bad things. Now, the market that we're targeting, which are all these informal motor taxi drivers and communities, for them, their first response to technology is, oh, this is going to take value away from us. This is going to disenfranchise us. So that requires us to actually spend a lot of time explaining to them in their own words, in their own language, the benefits of switching to the Max platform. That this isn't taking away value from you, but rather it's actually helping to improve and increase efficiency, improve earnings for drivers, and improve safety and reliability for everyone. So we do a lot of work communicating constantly with driver communities, explaining to them the value that we're bringing and the fact that what we're building actually helps create more value for them rather than take away value from them.
Wow. So basically you get them on your team. You say like, hey guys, this is what we're doing. We want you to win. This is how we're winning. You should come on board.
Absolutely. All for one for all.
That's what's up, man. I love it. So another note is that cash is commonplace. As you mentioned before, like it's not really a credit-driven system as of yet. So since cash is commonplace, you built e-wallets for your drivers.
That's correct, yes. So part of what we're excited about, one of the key reasons why we're so excited about our platform is it's not just a transportation or a mobility platform. Now it's also become a financial platform. Essentially, drivers are able to convert the cash they collect into their e-wallet. And we've done that by partnering with local mobile payment agent networks who are spread around the city. And all they simply just do is when the drivers make some money in cash, they take that cash from the drivers and they help them convert that into their e-wallet. Now, every time the drivers do that as well, they get bonus points for converting their money into the e-wallet. Now, the other exciting part is by converting their money into the e-wallet, as they spend that money, they're creating credit history for themselves. So in the future, when they want to access credit for other things, so credit, for example, to buy household equipment, or credit to set up their wives in business, or to pay their children's school fees, or whatever it is they want to do, now they've got credit history on the Max platform that they can present to local banks who can, on that basis, then lend them money.
Wow, dude. It's such an empowering thing that y'all are doing, man. It's so, like you said, holistic. Yeah, I'm almost at a loss for words, dude. Like, as an individual, you're MIT educated, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So tell me from a student's perspective, like, did you get this idea? Did you and your co-founders get this idea when you were in college? Is this a post-grad concept?
So we got this idea as post-grad, or as graduate students, right? Mm-hmm. But I must say that we didn't have a full view of what this idea could become at that point. At the very beginning, all we just tried to do was to build a little app that connects drivers to customers in real time. And then as we started working on that, we started making more discoveries, right? And as they say, our discovery requires experimentation. So it's constantly experimenting, building stuff, putting it out there in the market, getting feedback from customers, from drivers, from mentors, and just observing how people use the product. That drives the innovation process. So it's not magic, it's not rocket science, it's not MIT stuff. Anybody can do this, but you got to start somewhere, and that's what matters most.
Wow. And what's cool about it is you said that you had no idea really what it was about to become. You started off, you set out to do something, what you considered basic. And as you did it and you took action, you started realizing like, wow, there's something bigger here. And then you went and got to that bigger thing and you're like, wow, there's something even bigger over here. And you just started building all these components to that makes this thing like a Goliath in its industry.
Absolutely, that's how it works. That's how it's been. Every single day, it's a new lesson, it's a new discovery, and we just keep following. We just keep following.
That's amazing, man. So what we like to do at This Is My Era is, get a little bit about your own personal productivity methods. Like how do you map out your days? How do you stay productive? How do you focus when you're doing research and taking action behind these things? Like what are some tips that you could give our listeners for how they can be mentally and physically productive the way that you are?
Okay, sure. Happy to share some of our some insights into how we work. Nothing complex, nothing fancy. It's just all basic stuff, right? So we have what we call big rocks. Essentially, those are specific targets and goals that we set for ourselves on a weekly basis. And they're very simple goals, right? Because what we found out is we're a lot more productive if our goals and targets are very simple and easily understandable for everyone on the team. That's number one. Second thing is we don't attempt too much too soon, right? We always try to figure out and say, what is the single most important thing? Or what are the two most important things that if we do them right, then everything else ultimately falls in place. And I think that's helped us really focus our mental energy on what matters most. Because what we found is at the very early days, when we tried to do too much too soon, we just discovered that we were working hard, but we weren't getting a lot of results. But when we took a step back and said, okay, do you know what? There are just a few things that really, really matter the most. And if you can always find a way to identify those things and focus 80% of our energy on the 20% that really matters, then we will get somewhere. And that's really what's been extremely helpful for us as a team to date, where every single week we focus on very specific targets, 1, 2, maximum of 3, but usually about 2 targets. And then the whole team gets behind achieving those 2 targets. Now, the other thing that I would say is, we for a young company, one of your biggest strengths relative to bigger companies is the fact that you can move very fast. So meaning that we don't get bogged down by bureaucracy or all the things that big companies, that slow down big companies.
Yeah.
So we move very fast. We take feedback very quickly. There's no egos involved. It's ultimately always a battle of the best ideas, and everybody fully understands that. If the best idea comes from the newest person on the team, that's perfectly fine, right? So I think those 2 things, having few clear targets that we shoot for every week, and also being very open and very quick and very nimble, very fast in our decision-making process has been extremely helpful for us. So we don't constantly, we're not constantly trying to figure out and overanalyze problems. Once we figure out the potential action point, we just do it. If we fail at it, it's fine. We've learned a lesson, and then we keep going at it rather than getting paralyzed by analysis.
So you don't suffer from the corporate humongous ship that takes forever to turn. You can turn in agile. You're like a corporate ninja.
Essentially, yeah. That's a fantastic way to put it.
Very fly, man. So Tayo, man, it's been absolutely incredible having you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, y'all better leave a review after this because he's giving y'all some solid goals. So if y'all really appreciate what Tayo is telling us and you love what Max.ng is doing, leave a comment or leave a review under the podcast and tell them how you feel. Tell us how you feel. They had to do that plug. So real quick, Tayo, we want to know, why is this your era? How are you making this your era?
Okay, that's a pretty big question. So the way I think and the way my co-founder thinks as well, we think pretty much the same. Is it really isn't just our era; it's the era for the African people.
Ooh.
And we strongly believe that in order to unlock the full potential and the productive capabilities of our people, we need to provide them the infrastructure that they need to succeed. Now, one of the most important things that you need in a society is efficient transportation. Whatever you're going to do, if you're going to go to school, you're going to have to move around. If you're going to go to work, you need transportation. If you do business and you need to deliver stuff to your customers, you need transportation. So at the core of human activity is efficient mobility, transportation, and logistics. And so we realize that if we're going to unlock the potential of our people and the potential of our continent, we're going to have to use technology to make mobility much more efficient, much safer. And we started out with motorcycle taxis. Now, one of the reasons why we started out also with motorcycle taxis is because it impacts a lot of people. The average African takes a motorcycle taxi about 15 times a month. The average African. So for us, we just didn't want to solve a problem that impacts just the rich, right, or a particular class of society. But we decided to focus on solving a problem that impacts nearly everyone. Because whether you're rich or poor or middle class, at some point you're going to take a motorcycle taxi. If you're rich, you probably might not take it every day, but you'll take it if you need to beat traffic to attend some really important meeting at some point.
Right.
If you're middle class, you probably will take it, every now and then. If you're poor, you probably will take it a bit more often. But everybody takes it. And for us, that is important. We set out to solve a problem that impacts most people, not just a few people. And we think that by doing this, we are creating the infrastructure that ultimately helps people unlock prosperity. So that's really what's driving our thought process around solving this specific problem.
That's beautiful. And this is not only your era, it's the era for the African people. I absolutely love that answer.
Yeah.
It's everyone's era. We just have to take ownership of it and take action. So what I need from you right now is I need you to do a drop. I need you to channel your inner recording artist. Are you ready?
Sure, why not?
All right.
Okay.
All right. So he laughed like I have no idea what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
So simple drop. I need you to say something to this, like customize it yourself, but to the effect of this. What's up, world? This is Adetayo Bamiduro, CEO and co-founder of Max.ng, and this is my era. What about you? Something like that.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Can I go now?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
All right, sure. Hey guys, my name is Tayo. I'm co-founder and CEO of Max. This is our era. Do not retire, but refire to acquire your required desire.
Oh, snap. You just flipped it on me. I didn't know you was a songwriter, bro. You didn't tell me you were a songwriter. We could have had a different interview. That was awesome, man. That was awesome, bro. Thank you so much, Tayo.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Dude. Yo, y'all got to leave a review. Leave a review about that rhyme he just dropped on me at the bottom. How about that? That's awesome, bro. Yo, dude. I mean, that pretty much concludes our interview, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. It's been an honor to share our journey and our story. And hopefully that inspires some people listening out there to go ahead and do the impossible. Don't listen to what anybody else has told you about not being able to do the impossible, but you can. You just have to believe in yourself. Take the first step, and then the other steps will come, just like magic.
Amen, brother. Amen. Keep the faith.
I dedicate my time to making myself better, and it starts right now. This is my era. Well, let's go. This is my era. Oh yeah. This is my era. It's about that time. This is my era. Come on. This is my era. This is my era. What about you? Everybody runs the race. Some have what it takes, and others don't make it through. What about you? Stand up when they call your name. Stand out when you do your job. Let greatness notice you. If you're just wishing for glory, then what are you asking? Victory ain't sweet if you don't live through the pain. So many great ones before
This is my era, the mission and the vision never been so clearer. Seems like the world ain't getting no better. If you wanna see a change, take a look in the mirror now. You possess the key to unlock it. Open up the door, opportunities knocking. You can't deny, on this road that we're walking, there's gonna be some obstacles, but we'll keep on marching. Some will doubt you, even talk about you, but this world wouldn't be the same without you. Golden people on the rise, we know our value. Reaching the impossible, we'll show you how to. Don't know about you, but I know about me. I was born with everything I need to succeed. Living out the dreams, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to be. Cause see,
This is my era. This is my era. This is my era. This is my era. What about you? The world is counting on me, yeah, yeah. To be that change that we all wanna see, yeah, yeah. Yeah, whoa, whoa, oh. And as long as I'm living and breathing, I reach for the sky, giving living a meaning. That's what I was put on earth